I got to beta test the new Hasselblad 907x, 100 megapixels. They sent it to me, asked if I wanted to beta test it. I said yes, obviously. Today I'm going to be comparing it to the 907x 50 megapixel camera that I've been using for 3 years now. See what's new, see what's different. We'll talk about what it was like to beta test a camera for Hasselblad. And I'm going to try to do this before I get too cold on this Pacific Northwest mountainside. Stick around to the end and I'll tell you why I'm keeping the old one. Little reference here. My name is Sam McGee. I am a cinematographer by trade. I do narrative and commercial work, and I shoot on the ARRI Alexa Mini LF. Big sensors. I love big sensors. But my background, my first love is still photography. I studied photography in college. I've spent a lot of time in the darkroom with medium format film cameras. I am also active as a documentary and portrait photographer. So, you know, I might lean more towards a rangefinder 35 millimeter camera, but I found that big celluloid and big digital sensors are fascinating to me, and there's also an aesthetic about waist level viewfinder that I am drawn to. It's fun, it challenges my brain creatively, it makes me think differently, and I have enjoyed working with this camera platform for 3 years now. So beta testing the new one, it's a no-brainer. Let's talk about it. So as you can tell, I've got the new Hasselblad 907x 100C. It's a 100 megapixel medium format waist level viewfinder camera. If you've followed me at all, you know that I have the first version of this, the 907x CFV 2 50C, 50 megapixels. I got the special moon edition. There's a little plaque that says on the moon since 1969. If you believe that we went to the moon, Hasselblad cameras were used to photograph all of the different space missions back in the film days. I got this digital camera to use as a digital back on a Hasselblad 500 series camera. That's the whole point of this thing. It gives you this retro waist level viewfinder feeling. Same feeling you get here. So I've been playing with the 50 megapixel version of this and the 100 megapixel version. I got to have a Zoom call with their production team. I got to talk about the differences, my likes and dislikes. I got to talk about little frustrating issues that I have with the whole camera platform in general. It feels like they took what I was drawn to with this original version of the camera, all the fun nuance, and they enhanced it. There's a couple major changes that I noticed that I immediately found super helpful. I will immediately switch over to the new camera because of these small, simple features. Number one is they put an SSD inside the camera. It's a terabyte of memory, and then they switched over to CFast. The old version of the camera has 2 SD card slots, and I use high-end SD cards. I'm using the Sony Tough cards. They are high data transfer speeds, but it's not enough. I ran into so many buffering issues with this previous version of the camera. The images are so big at 50 megapixels that the moment you've snapped like 4 or 5 pictures, it's got to sit and load. Putting an SSD inside the camera, a full terabyte, and giving you the option of CFast has sped this up tremendously. The other huge change here is that they gave you a hot shoe mount. This is something that I've desperately wanted. The previous version of the camera, you could get a cold shoe attachment as an accessory that you buy separately. This came in the box, and it has electronics. This is exciting for flash. Hold for car. Lots of cars. So I'm probably gonna swap these out with ProPhoto or Godox or something. It's a huge, exciting improvement that this comes in the box. You don't have to have it on there. It obviously makes it a little smaller if you don't put it on there. Another huge, subtle, tiny, maybe giant improvement. It's the first thing that I noticed. The change of the button material on the back. The layout of the buttons is the same. They've changed a little bit. Not important. What's important is that the old version had rubber buttons. This version has metal buttons. The biggest problem with this camera, with the physical buttons on the back, is that the power button sticks out. When I put this camera in my camera bag, the power button is turned on. It always turns on. It presses up against something, the buttons are exposed, the power button's exposed. Another big problem that I have with these rubber buttons is that the black is wearing off. The black coating on the outside of the rubber, and I'm starting to see the clear rubber that the buttons actually are. It's kind of a bummer. If I go to sell this camera, or if I want this camera to last a really long time, these buttons are wearing off, and I don't know what eventually I'm not going to know what the emblems are. I'm just going to be playing a guessing game. It's kind of sad. But the new camera, they switched over to metal. They indented the emblems so that the white of the emblems will never wear off, and they recessed the power button. So now the power button doesn't stick out. It can't turn on when it's inside your camera bag. It's a very small detail that matters a lot in my daily use of the camera. This camera uses the same lens mount. This is the XCD series of lenses. These are the new ones. This is the original one. I have a 65 millimeter in the original XCD lens series, and then in the new lens series I've got 38 and 28. Not only the XCD lenses, when you use this as a digital back on your 500 series cameras, you can use all of the old historic Hasselblad lenses. On the 38, and I'm assuming this is the case on the other lenses, the other focal lengths, the focus ring is now the way that you go from manual to autofocus. You can move the focus ring in and out. It's just a piece of metal. It's beautiful. It's got the Hasselblad H logo embossed all the way around. Physically push it in, that's autofocus. Physically push it out and you can see all of your distance numbers. That's manual focus. I am in love with this. There's also your aperture control on the lens now. There's a little ASMR right there just for me. One of the other improvements they made to the manual focus experience of this camera, there's a few different options for focus assist in manual. You've got focus peaking, it is what it is, it's fine. But then there's a new little ring that has little icons. It's like a rangefinder. And there's a little arrow that'll move around the ring until it hits center and turn green. The whole circle turns green, and there's a little plus sign in the middle to tell you that it's sharp on whatever object you're pointing at. This is my favorite way to manual focus on this camera. I think the biggest improvement for me over the previous version of the camera is that the autofocus is a lot faster. They've added some neat features like face detection, which brings me to the handle. This handle has not changed. It's the same version of the handle that you've always been able to buy. There's a little joystick and I can move my autofocus point around, and it's snappy and quick. This has been my favorite way to shoot documentary images with a big medium format sensor. It still gives me the same feeling of the waist level viewfinder film camera, all manual, but I get the benefit of snappy autofocus. They've updated the user interface. It's little subtle touches that are a little cleaner aesthetically. Notice that you have the ability to swipe through menus much easier. I never found the previous version of the camera's menu system to be difficult to use. It's always been very simple and elegant. I do like the way that Hasselblad has laid out their software, but it's become even easier with this version. I assume they've taken some notes from DJI, who they are clearly sister companies with, and improved the software quite a bit. Another huge physical improvement to this camera is that it is lighter. I come from the world of cinematography where I like big, heavy cameras because it makes handheld footage look a little more natural, a little less shaky. I don't really care about the weight of the camera. I prefer heavier cameras. But when I am photographing and I'm running around doing documentary style imagery, the lighter, the better. And the new XCD lenses are even smaller. I didn't think I would care too much about that, but just to see, obviously I'm not comparing apples to apples because these are different focal lengths, but they've made the XCD lenses smaller and lighter. It's made this camera a little bit more enjoyable. The only other major change that happened in this camera is that they took away video altogether. I don't really care about video in these cameras. I have separate cameras for cinema and still photo. I'm not trying to mix the two. I know that that's important to a lot of people. In my workflow, I don't really care if this has video. I used video on this a couple of times, but it's only HD 30 frames per second. If you take that feature away, I'm not really gonna ever miss it. So this is a purely stills camera, and I appreciate that. They've also updated the Hasselblad Focus app. It connects to the camera so much faster. In the beta testing for the camera, I wanted to avoid this question because I don't connect the camera directly to the app and then edit on my phone. I don't have any reason to. I'm gonna go print these photos really, really big, and I'm going to edit them on my computer. But what I found when I realized that was going to be part of the beta test, I should probably check it out. The app saw the camera right away and connected. And I was able to pull photos off quickly. 100 megapixel photos, I was able to pull them off quickly. And then the editing, I'm able to use my curves, and I'm able to crop. The most convenient use of this was I was able to take a big family portrait at Christmas time and then throw it on my phone and text it to everybody immediately. That may be the lamest reason to spend this much money on a camera just to have that experience, but that alone sold me on trying to do more with my mobile app. I want to insert something here. HNCS. Hasselblad Natural Color Solution. I get the jargon. I get the marketing jargon. They've obviously created a color aesthetic to these files, raw JPEG, that I am drawn to. I'll do another video looking at the digital files. There's a little bit more contrast in these images. I noticed that all of the detail is there. There's a lot of info in the highlights, a lot of info in the shadows, a lot of clean info in the shadows, actually. But the color tone, I know everybody talks about the differences between the color tones and all the different camera brands. I mentioned, took some pictures of the family at Christmas time, and then I threw the photos on my phone and texted them to everybody, and I edited them a little bit. I adjusted the brightness and the color and everything. But straight out of camera, the JPEG was beautiful. I am drawn to the color science of these particular cameras, more so than any other brand. I get a similar feeling with the Hasselblad color science to an ARRI digital camera. I'm a big sucker for ARRI cinema cameras. I shoot with a Mini LF, the big LF sensor, and the Hasselblad medium format sensors. Okay, I've got one more thing to insert here. Sorry, the battery life on this new version of the camera is significantly better. The software must be much more efficient or something, because the old version of the camera, I have a video on this channel where I had to rig a V-mount battery to get it to last all day. But the new version of the camera, one battery took me through a full day of documentary shooting. That was amazing. I bought into this style of camera for the layout. So any improvements to it are great. I will take all improvements to the camera and run with it. But I don't know if I want to sell my 50C because it's the Moon edition. It's the special edition. And Hasselblad is known. Multiple hawks circling me. Hasselblad is known for photographing space. There's so much story in this. Everything else about this new version of the camera is a huge improvement. 100 megapixels. I can't pull photos off of this camera and put them directly on my phone and post them to Instagram. Maybe that's intentional. Obviously, the goal with cameras like this is not to post images to Instagram. The goal is to print. I mean, my goal with these cameras is to create fine art prints with my documentary images. Here's a portrait of a Highland bull up at a cattle ranch in Montana. You know, I don't know if jumping up to 100 megapixels is going to change the quality for me. 50 megapixels is giant. But if you give me 100 megapixels, I'm going to use the 100 megapixels. I'm going to print bigger. I'd like to print bigger. If Hasselblad calls you and asks you if you want to review a camera, just say yes.
Okay, Hilton talk. Please let me have 200 likes. Subscribe me. I'm a Minecraft player. I played 250 times on Minecraft, and I'm pretty good at Minecraft. Please like and subscribe.